This is our world. 5/7 ocean and 2/7 land. 135 sovereign countries, the home of 3,400 million people. And tonight, for the first time, we can see right round our world, from sunset to dawn, by television. Our world is circled by television. Television stations in 14 countries all round the world have joined up to make one program. This program. In 45 control rooms all around the world, production teams are monitoring and selecting the hundreds of pictures and sounds from 5 continents, which will combine to make this historic program. At St. Paul de Vence in France, they are preparing for a visit from Calder, Chagall and Miro in one of the world's most novel artistic centers, the Fondation Mecht. And at Cape Kennedy in the USA, the cameras are already looking at the Saturn V rocket, which has started its checkout. In London, they're in a recording studio where the Beatles are in the middle of a recording session. These people and places are just a few of the ingredients in our program. And here in London, England, is the center of the web, the control room of the whole program. From here, it goes out to something like 170 million television sets in 24 countries. This is our world. There are a million things to say about it, but there is one which, more than all the others, will determine the future of our children and our grandchildren. It is this.
Sapporo, Japan.
100 years ago, there were 1,000 million people on our world. 40 years ago, there were 2,000 million. At this moment, there are over 3,000 million. By the year 2000, there will be 7,000 million. We can represent the crowded, expanding world by charts and maps and symbols, but none of us has ever seen it, at least not as a whole. But today, we can look round the world at what we really mean when we talk about expanding population. We start this program by looking at some of the very newest arrivals in our world, babies who have joined our human family in the last few minutes. Our first quick look begins in Japan, in the land of the rising sun.
Here, the sun is rising over Hokkaido at 4 minutes past 4 on Monday morning. Quiet morning in Sapporo. You're looking at the Hokkaido University Hospital and some of its inmates. My name is Saigaro Kitade, and I'm inside the maternity ward. This baby was born 27 minutes ago exactly. He's the first son of Mitsuno and Norio Kamakura, and he weighs 6 pounds in weight. This is a Japanese custom to make footprints as a souvenir for the new baby. Who knows, some of these little feet may step on the surface of the moon in the future. People all over the world are watching the crying face of this child. Monday morning, June 26th.
This is Aarhus in Denmark. It's 1 hour before sunset. Your reporter is Ole Andreasen. He's reporting from the maternity hospital in Aarhus, Denmark. The maternity hospital is attached to a university, as in the hospital at Sapporo. Here is another Dane added to the 4.5 million living in Denmark. She's a girl of over 7 pounds. Aarhus, Denmark. It's 6 minutes past 8 on a summer's evening.
It's 6 minutes past 1 on the 25th of June in Mexico City. The Pyramid de la Raza stands in front of this hospital. The hospital was built in 1960. number 3 maternity hospital of the Mexican
Pedro Ferriz,
Hospital Institution.
exactamente en la Ciudad de México, sede de los próximos Juegos Olímpicos de 1968, la 1 de la tarde con 7
Mexico
minutos.
City, the seat of the
Estamos asistiendo a un
1958 Olympic
nacimiento.
Games.
Está atendiendo el doctor Víctor
Birth of a
Espinosa de los
baby.
Reyes. Esta transmisión es en vivo. Los padres están muy felices porque ha venido al mundo enteramente normal, sin problemas. Es un niño robusto, como ustedes ven. La madre es la señora María del Refugio Pérez Reyes de García y el padre es don Manuel García Gómez. Este niño se llamará Edmundo, cuyo
Two of
diminutivo
the proudest
es
parents
Mundo, o sea,
in Mexico,
que en homenaje a este programa le pondrán así.
a new child.
Mundo, en inglés, world. En francés.
3,000 miles to the north, here in Edmonton, Canada, is the Charles Camsell Hospital, glistening in the sun. This is a hospital strictly for the Indians and Eskimos of northern Canada, the Arctic coast, and the Arctic islands. I'm Libby Christensen. It's now 7 minutes past noon here, and just behind me, a mother is seeing her child for the very first time. Aki Nita Wagat Wasis. A child has been born, a Cree Indian baby. Her mother and father are Cree Indians of the Big Stone Band. The baby's name is Debbie Laurie Auger, and she is the jet black hair of her ancestors. She weighs 8 pounds, 12 ounces. And in a few days, Debbie will fly north to join her 8 brothers and sisters. The first year of life for Debbie in the rugged North Bush country will be the hardest, but she should live to be 60 years of age. Debbie Auger, the latest baby born here in a country 100 years old this year.
4 babies. Only 4 out of some 1,800 born in the few minutes since this program began. 4 whose lives are likely to be worlds apart, born at the moment in history when it's first possible to see round the planet in a moment of time. The sun lights up only half the globe, but television can beat the sun. Our cameras can be where it is morning and afternoon, summer and winter, today and tomorrow, and all at the press of a button. The dawn creeps round the equator at a mere 1,000 miles an hour, but our pictures flash round at 186,000 miles a second. It's a summer evening now in Paris, a winter morning in Melbourne, just before lunch in Vancouver, the middle of the afternoon in New York. We'll visit them all in the next few minutes, and many other places as well. Today, the world becomes smaller than it has ever been. Until 140 years ago, no one could travel faster than the speed of a horse over the land or the speed of a sailing ship over the sea. For Magellan in 1518, a journey round the world meant 3 years of his life. When Hugo Eckener took the Graf Zeppelin round in 1929 in 3 weeks, he reduced its effective size to this. And in 1961, Yuri Gagarin at the controls of Vostok 1 orbited in just 90 minutes and made it this much smaller. Today, our journey across the globe through a network of landlines and microwave links and ground stations and satellites takes just about 2 seconds, and distance ceases almost to have meaning. The television journey we are starting now is one that nobody has ever taken before. We'll see what our neighbors are doing at this very moment in different places across our world. First of all, the Earth itself. This is a photograph of our world taken from a satellite. Somewhere on this indistinct circle, over 3,000 million people are working, playing or sleeping, or watching this picture. And now, we come down to Earth for our journey into tomorrow, and we begin at a few minutes past 8 on a Sunday evening in the heart of Europe.
Peter Nadetsky at Linz in Austria. Here at the United Austrian Iron and Steel Works, it's now coming up to 10 minutes past 8. So there's still about an hour and 15 minutes before the night shift takes over. Eloise Lehner over there is directing the crane which is pouring molten pig iron into the vessel. Within 20 minutes, it's being changed into high-proof steel. Alice Lehner has been working here in the steelworks for 10 years or so. Just to show how quick the process is, the next door vessel, which was charged only about 15 minutes ago before the program began, is beginning to pour its tons of LD steel.
Westwards again across Europe to the capital city of France, Paris, on a Sunday evening.
In Paris, over the Porte de la Chapelle, your reporter, Joseph Pasteur. It's almost 12 minutes after the hour. The weather is fine, as on a Sunday afternoon, Parisians are coming home after a day in the country.
Nous entendons les indications qu'il donne à ses collègues demeurés au sol. Rien n'échappe à l'observation de l'hélicoptère, de son emplacement.
Nothing escapes the observation of the helicopter.
Sur toutes les portes de Paris et
He has a
particulièrement sur
perfect
celle de
view
la
of
Chapelle,
all
à
the
la porte
roads
de
in
laquelle
Paris,
nous nous trouvons et qui offre actuellement
and it's above
l'accès le plus
Porte de la
facile
Chapelle
grâce à
that
son
the
échangeur
helicopter
à
hovers
15
to report on the traffic.
À l'heure qu'il est, la circulation est fluide. Les automobilistes que nous suivons viennent pour la plupart du nord. Beaucoup ont passé la journée en forêt de
The
chantier.
flow of traffic has eased somewhat. Most of the cars from the north have used the motorway and are now using the access roads into Paris itself.
La rentrée sur Paris un dimanche soir, surtout lorsque la journée a été magnifique comme aujourd'hui,
When the
pose
weather's
toujours
fine,
de sérieux problèmes de
Sunday evenings
circulation
is
dans
always
la
a
ville de véhicules
crowded time
considérables.
into and out of
Ce soir,
Paris.
un vent d'ouest assez fort gêne quelque
A
peu dans
fairly
ses
strong
évolutions
west
l'hélicoptère de
wind
la
has been
protection
blowing this
civile.
afternoon,
Mais
making
quelles que soient les
conditions awkward
conditions
for the
atmosphériques,
helicopter.
le lieutenant Thépaut restera à son poste.
But whatever
tant qu'il
the
le
weather
faudra.
conditions, Lieutenant Thépaut will remain keen and alert in his position.
Nearly 1,000 miles south from France to our third continent, Asia, Europe, now across the Mediterranean to Africa, Tunis.
Tunis, eternal city with a glorious past. Built on the birthplace of Carthage, Tunis is today especially concerned with tomorrow. The weather is fine in Tunis. Look across the city. A magnificent city. Look at the living past of the world. And yet it's a town which is very especially concerned with tomorrow as well as the past.
وهذه السوق العتيقة سوق العطارين بتونس تحمل أضواءها وظلالها ونفس ضيوفها ذكريات البطولات وهذه المرأة.
Before you, the old town with its narrow little streets, its winding souks. Look at the veiled woman, a silhouette from yesterday, giving way to the face of today.
بين جيلين لقاء بين الماضي والمستقبل في عالم حديث السير والتطور لكن المستقبل هنا شديد الصلة بأصالة الماضي الجميل.
Here's a craftsman working in a setting created by his ancestors, but aren't there new concepts in his mind as he bends to his work? The heart of Tunis.
East and north now for our last stop on this side of the Atlantic. We move 900 miles from Tunis, skirting the coast of North Africa to the edge of the European continent, the Gulf of Cadiz.
From Spanish television, from the sea, we're at Huelva in Spain, near to the estuary of the Agua del Cuvier. It's a half hour before sunset. Spain is a maritime country. Its fishing industry is one of the finest in the world, with its modern fishing fleet and its modern processes. Their fishing fleets crossed the seas, as did the Spanish navigators and sailors hundreds of years ago, from Huelva and from Cadiz. It was from here that Magellan set out to start his trip around the world. The fishing fleet is at its everyday work here, a scene which repeats itself daily for centuries without change. Each time the fishermen haul in the net, they hope for a new surprise. It's always different. What will it be like today? Fishing is one of the main traditional sources of the wealth in the villages in this region of the tourist-ridden coast. While nations are developing so rapidly, there still remain picturesque corners like this where I can still find peace and human dignity in the service of splendid cooking, so rare nowadays. Huelva in Spain.
Europe, Asia, Africa. Now we move 3,000 miles across the Atlantic to visit our fourth continent, America.
This town, until 3 days ago, was distinguished only by its anonymity. A flat, slumbering farm town suddenly jolted awake. I'm Dick McCutcheon of NET. It is now 3:17 p.m. And almost exactly 90 minutes ago, American President Johnson and Soviet Premier Kosygin entered this house to resume their meeting on the summit in this, the unrarefied atmosphere of Glassboro. Just as the resources of international television have been mustered for this program, Our World, so the bewildering hardware of American communications has descended on this small rural community. And it's difficult to determine which Glassboro finds more complex, the enormous issues of the summit meeting itself, or the technology that accompanies it.
From the Atlantic coast of America, we traveled 2,000 miles west to Canada, the province of Alberta.
From the tension of world diplomacy to peaceful reality here at Two Rivers Ranch in the Alberta foothills, where at 12:18, the cowboys have returned to work from their noonday meal to continue cutting out, which is the selection of animals from the herd. That's Randy Dunham, the ranch foreman, riding King Leo Bar, a cutting horse which is valued at $100,000 and is considered to be one of the finest sires of his breed in the world. Randy Dunham pretty well grew up with horses and, in fact, started cowboying when he was 15 years old. Now, at 39 and holder of the 1965 Canadian Cutting Horse Championship for 4-year-olds, he devotes himself to the breeding and training of these remarkable horses. A cutting horse is a highly trained specialist who works to a pattern of movement as intricate as the ballet. Today, because of the requirements of the cattlemen, the animal reflects in appearance and action the purpose for which he was bred. He's deeply muscled and heavily shouldered, capable of rapid speed and the ability to stand stock still one moment and to run full out the next. With King Leo Bar and Randy Dunham, we see the unique relationship between a man and his horse. This is Bob Switzer in Ghost Lake, Alberta.
Back west across the Rockies again, 400 miles from our last stop into British Columbia and the edge of the Pacific Ocean.
This is Mike Winlaw on the shores of the Pacific Ocean at Vancouver. This is Kitsilano Beach, where the time is 19 minutes past 12 noon. And it's a beautiful day. Bright sunshine, the temperature 78 degrees. Great weather for a Sunday afternoon at the beach. Across the warm sands and just a few short steps away, the blue Pacific. The water temperature today close to 70 degrees. To the west, several hundred yards past the swimming area, the Kitsilano and Vancouver Yacht